Hello guys, welcome back to another video here at Relab Academy. We're going to talk about the 5 practical tips that you can have to be a great workshop facilitator. Most of us would know facilitation skills already. The ones that I'm going to specifically talk about here are what I think are the intangible skills. Oftentimes the stuff that people don't really talk about, but it comes from experience and just having been in it. So the first one here that I want to talk about is about giving everyone a clear role and explain what they do. That's something that oftentimes we tend to forget as a facilitator, is that roles are important. It's important when you have, say, 4 or 5 different participants, it's important for them to know why they're there at the first place. So whether it's your job as a facilitator or a stakeholder's job or the product owner's job or decider's job, no matter whose job it is, it's fine. But your job as a facilitator is to remind them that there is a role for everyone. And if it was not clear, then it better be clear before you start the activity. So there's a purpose for a participant to be in the room, and they know what value they bring and what makes them different. And oftentimes, if you have a team of 5, each and every one of them would have a unique background, skill set, or something, and that's why we are co-designing together. So give everyone a clear role and explain what they do. Number 2 is to consider the effect of complementary behaviors. What I mean by that is it would be so great for you to understand the different types of people in the room. Everyone's got their own flair and everyone's got their own ways of doing things. There might be even a naysayer in the room. And oftentimes I find situations where out of the 6 people, there might be that 1 or 2 that didn't really want to be part of this. What do you do to them? And they feel like they're just stuck in this activity, which they didn't really want to participate in. Now that's a challenge, definitely. So first of all, try to not be in that situation. But if you happen to find yourself in that situation, then you need to think about complementary behaviors. How do you as a facilitator be able to complement to this naysayer person? Or you might find a room where you have 2 people that argue with each other all the time, which is very common. How do you balance that energy? So that's one thing that I think great facilitators will have with them, is to be able to feel the room and understand what the energy is like, and be able to navigate through that and be able to control the situation. For example, with that naysayer person that we were talking about earlier, as a matter of fact, it's great for them to be there because they will be the devil's advocate, and they will be the person who would say no to a lot of things, but they have their own thoughts as well. And it's always great to have someone like that. And the best way is just to listen, give room, give space, and even pull that person aside and say, hey, look, I really appreciate your time over here. You actually bring so much value because you come from a different perspective. And as a matter of fact, I do encourage you to talk more about your ideas and be on their side, as a matter of fact, and that's going to bring the best out of them. And oftentimes I find when we do that, at least in practice, they have changed into someone that is like so complementary to the rest of the team. So that's an idea. The third thing is listen to what people say and watch what they do. It's important for you as a facilitator to be able to observe really well in such short period of time, because you may come into a room where you only know 1 out of the 5 people that are there. The other 4, you kind of need to rapidly get to know them as soon as possible and get to know what they're like as a person, which is not easy. So it's great if you have empathy and be able to just understand the room, as I said earlier. But the other great way to do this is just by listening. Be a great listener and be a great observer and watch what they do, because oftentimes people don't really say it. It's in their head. They don't really say it. They don't say how uncomfortable things are for them. They don't say how challenging a certain activity is for them. But if you listen and observe each individual, you'll be able to at least get an idea and be able to go closer to them and help them out, or stay away from them if you think they know what they're doing, stuff like that. Number 4 is, as a team, Before and after an activity, it's always great to debrief. So it's always important to know the why, right? As I was saying in our previous videos, but even in the micro details of activities, it's important to know why we are doing this and what's the outcome after we did all of that. So as a team, it's great to be aligned. And if there's 5 of you in the room, before we start this solution sketching process, as an example, the reason why we're doing this is because it helps us get from one point to the other. And because we have 3 hours, guys, to do this, there's a structured way of doing this by doing this 4 steps, right? And if we follow this, then chances are we're going to get some great ideas at the end of it, only in 2 hours' time. So if you brief the team that way, they'll get an idea that, okay, I see where this is going. I know why I'm part of this, and I can see this happening. I'm in it. I'm sold. So that's what you want to get out of a team as a facilitator. And at the end of it, it's always great to summarize. Look, guys, we've done a great work. We've got 4 different ideas, as you can see, only in 2 hours' time. What can we do better? It's always great for you to reflect back that way as well and get some input, because chances are one of them might say, oh, you know what, that second activity, it's actually great if we do it this way. Then you just listen, right? That's what makes a great facilitator great. The 5th one is give everyone a chance to interact with the findings or the data. So oftentimes this comes after everything, but as a facilitator, oftentimes you're trying to solve problems together in a workshop, and then the outcome of it is oftentimes a solution or an action. And what happens after the action is some data is being collected, whether it's survey responses or it's a user testing feedback note or whatever it is. But for participants, oftentimes they're being left out after all of this has happened. After the workshop, they're left out. They don't even know what happens after that other than, the result is an app. But what's great is, as a facilitator, you could go back to them and say, hey, Johnny, by the way, remember that time when we did this user testing? Remember this person said, they love this interface or whatever it is. Here's the result over here. And guess what? It actually converted 20% more. And as a participant, being able to be part of that process from the ideation process, the research phase, all the way to understanding that my thoughts has actually given something back, that's going to be so, so powerful. And that's what great facilitators do. They keep the participants involved until the end of it, or even post activity. So I think, if you think about this, it's actually going to help you not just as a facilitator, but just as a general team member. As a matter of fact, I think these are the things that makes it so much better than just knowing how to use, Figma, Mural, or whatever it is, or knowing what is the best post-it brand out there, but you get the idea. Anyway, I'll leave it there. If you have any questions, type it in the comment section below and I'll be happy to answer. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day. Do subscribe, comment, and like. All right, guys, see you later.